This is One-on-One. A big theme here at the NJEA Convention, the 164th annual convention, is communication. And the guy who knows more about communication than just about anyone I know is Steve Baker, Director of Communications at the New Jersey Education Association. We've been here many, many years doing this convention. I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, there's always energy here, but there's a lot of energy this year because?
Tremendous energy here, Steve, from our members. They're excited to be here. This is a keystone event for them each year. This is where they come together, they meet their colleagues, they network, they learn, they see what's the latest and the greatest in education. Our members love to be ahead of the game, and this is the place where they come to get that way.
Yeah, we were just talking before we got on the air. There's a tour, there's an exhibit, if you will. It's called The Awakening. It's a walking tour. We're going to get some video of it.
Sure.
What is it and why does it matter so much to you?
That's so important, and we're so proud of that this year. The Awakening is a walking tour that allows our members to see the world through the eyes of some of our students, whether they are students of color, whether they're LGBTQ. It helps us to see what they see in the world. It helps us to think about the choices. Well, it poses some questions. How would you deal with a situation? How would you deal with a situation where a parent called and was concerned that they'd heard that a student in your class had two fathers? How would you deal with a student who came and said, "You've always known me as male, but I want to be called by female pronouns"? We believe that cultural competency, we believe that understanding the needs of our students is just critically important to the educational process. You have to meet students where they are, you have to understand where they are, and you have to educate the whole student. And so we believe that by exposing our members to that, by letting them see that and forcing us all to think more deeply about those issues, we create stronger, more welcoming, more affirming schools that really do just a tremendous job of educating every student who walks through the doors.
You know what's so interesting about that? I don't know how many years ago, 5, 10, I'm not sure you may have had an exhibit like this, but to do this now, to me, and to many I'm sure would demonstrate, you're constantly evolving. The organization's evolving. Like, what is the convention going to be? And by the way, the convention theme is all about social justice.
Absolutely.
Connected to that?
Well, listen, we understand that the conditions in the world, the conditions in the community are the conditions where our students are learning. They're the conditions where our schools exist. So if you can't deal with poverty in your communities, if you can't deal with opportunity in your communities, you make it that much more difficult to give your children, your students, a place where they can thrive and succeed. I'll give you an example. Take something like the $15 an hour minimum wage.
Yes.
That doesn't impact most of our members, and even the ones that it impacts, we have collective bargaining. We have ways to deal with that. But we have fought for the $15 minimum wage because we have students whose parents are working 2 and 3 jobs trying to make ends meet. We know our students would be better off, that they would be able to learn more if their parents had the opportunity to be home more, to spend more time at home and help out in those ways. It's not that the parents are doing anything wrong, they have no choice. We want to help those parents have a choice so that they can help their students thrive. We all win if we do that.
You know, Steve mentions the $15 an hour minimum wage, which will be one of the many issues in 2018 that the state will consider. And one assumes that the debate around that issue could and likely be very different because with Phil Murphy as governor, it may be a different discussion. People have different points of view on this. Your thoughts about soon to be, as we're taping this program, Governor Murphy, particularly as it relates to education?
Well, we couldn't be more enthusiastic about it. As you know, we were one of the first groups to get on board and endorse Phil Murphy. I believe it was October 9th of 2016. So we were on board early. Our members have been all in.
What did you see in him? What did you see in Murphy?
What we saw in Murphy, somebody who respected educators, somebody who genuinely wanted to learn about the issues and make good policy decisions, somebody who supports public education on a fundamental level, and somebody who's willing to engage in a real conversation. That's been missing, and we really look forward to having a partner in the State House who is going to make good policy decisions that I believe are going to be separated from the politics of some of this and really focus on the policy of what's good for students, what's good for schools.
See, let me ask you this. I mentioned this to Ed Richardson, the executive director of the NJEA. The NJEA, with 200,000 plus members, plus families, represent a lot of folks. you do get involved in politics.
Absolutely.
You pick your spots, and sometimes people like, hey, why are they involved in this or that
Sure.
race or situation?
Yeah.
Explain why it's so important to be involved in electoral politics.
Because politics are involved in education. Everything we do, the curriculum that we teach, those are the results of political decisions. Funding for our schools, support for the profession, standards for the profession. Politics affects everything about the day-to-day lives and the professional lives of our members. We have to be involved. It's our obligation as an advocacy organization to stand up for our members, to stand up for our students, to stand up for their families. If we don't do it, then other people who aren't experts on public education are making all the decisions about public education. That's bad for policy.
And some Democrats who would argue, by the way, full disclosure, the NJEA is one of the biggest supporters of NJTV News, of our broadcasting as well at the Caucus Educational Corporation. Some Democrats who argue, you know, the NJEA is supposed to support Democrats across the board because we're with them. Even some Democrats in the highest positions in the state legislature, more specifically the Senate President. You buy that?
We have never been a part of a political party. We have always endorsed people based on their positions on the issues. They interview with our members, and they have to prove through their positions, through their votes, through their actions in office, if they're incumbents, that they are genuine supporters of public education. If they don't, they're not going to earn our members' support. But it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican and an independent. We endorsed a Green candidate in Atlantic County for freeholder this year. We don't look at the letter after the name, we look at the record underneath the name. And that's really what matters. It always has, always will. We're always going to be pro-public education. And it's the obligation of the candidates to make sure that they're pro-public education. That's what matters for our members.
Final question, 2018, the #1 issue for educators in this state should be?
Continuing to make New Jersey's public schools the best in the nation. Everything we do is about that. Every time we endorse a candidate, every time we take a position on a bill, it's all about building the best public schools because our members want to be proud of where they work. They want to provide a great education for their students. And so while the underlying issues change all the time, the main issue never changes, great public schools.
One more quickie,
Sure.
Different ways of communicating, more complex, more interesting than ever before?
Oh, it's a whole new world out there, and it's just tremendous. The ways that we can communicate with our members, with the public. Everybody has a different way they're getting their information. Everybody's accessing their information in different places. You have to be a little bit of everywhere. You have to be everywhere all the time. It's a challenge, but it's a thrill.
And you also have a great series called Classroom Close-Up. And we consistently feature some of those educators. Classroom Close-Up, 15 Emmy Awards dedicated to
the teachers and education support professionals of NJEA. They do great work, and we couldn't be more proud of taking the opportunity to feature that work and to highlight what they do. That's what it's all about.
And can be seen on NJTV, the public television station in the state of New Jersey. Yeah. Steve, thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate the time. All right.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Wells Fargo, Seton Hall University, New Jersey Resources, St. Joseph's Health, the Turrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, New Jersey Sharing Network, and by the Fidelco Group. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.